All right, so this is our third installment of our energy series, and what we want to do is understand how do we take that potential energy that's stored in that glucose molecule and transform it into usable cellular energy in the form of ATP or adenosine triphosphate. So if you're with me, we're on the second page of the notes starting down, and let's kind of focus in on that ATP just a little bit. So again, we know energy is never created or destroyed, only transferred. So that is our first law of thermodynamics, that energy cannot be destroyed or created, only transformed from one level to the next. So the question that we have here is that what is the original source of energy for almost everything on Earth? Well, it's going to be the sunlight, all right, is the one that contributes to major energy for planet Earth. Now, we cannot forget chemosynthesis. We say almost all because we do have organisms that do chemosynthesis where they use the heat in the extreme conditions and the minerals that come from the earth to create their own energy. Remember, we call those extremophiles or archaeobacteria. And again, what macromolecules provide our bodies with the source of energy? Well, that's going to be carbohydrates and lipids, okay? And again, we're lipids, we're storing the energy. For carbohydrates, we are processing that energy. So let's talk about that energy just a little bit more, all right? So what is the energy our cells use? It's adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Now, we got to recall here, okay? ATP has a phosphate group on it, and we know that anything with phosphates, as we've learned in the last unit, is going to be a form of, not proteins, my bad, excuse me, not proteins, but this is going to be nucleic acids, all right? So let's go ahead and take a look at a picture of a ATP here, all right? So first of all, when we look at an ATP molecule, we have our sugar, we have our nitrogen base adenine, hence the adenosine, and then we like we see when we learned about nucleic acids in Unit 2A. The difference is that, well, in ATP, we have 1, 2, 3 of those phosphates. Now, this is important because here's the deal. The bonds that are between these phosphates, okay, particularly this one right here, holds a crap ton of energy, okay? And so when we think of a full charged battery, we want to think of ATP, okay? This is fully charged. It's ready to go to be transferred into whatever the organism may need, okay? So now, when that organism uses that energy, and it could be for anything from blinking, breathing, eating, muscle contraction, whatever that may be, it knocks off that phosphate from this one, and it releases the energy. And that energy is used to do work for the organism. So an empty battery is going to be the ADP, where it only has 2 phosphates associated. Why does this have more energy? Well, it's because there's more bonds. Remember, those chemical bonds is where we store that energy. All right, so how do we convert that glucose into ATP molecule? And so that is what we call cellular respiration. So let's dive into it. So cellular respiration is a conversion of chemical energy, and I'm going to add this to there. When we talk about food, we're really talking about glucose, okay? That's the main energy source, and that's what gets broken down in cell respiration to create that ATP. Now, where does cellular respiration occurs? Well, this is going to occur in the mitochondria, but let's go ahead and let's take a look at the equation for cell respiration. If you're following along, this is on page 3 on the bottom of your notes. However, let's go ahead and take a look at our equation. For cell respiration to happen, we need C6H12O6 plus oxygen yields, and this is done in mitochondria, to produce water and CO2. So again, red equals cell respiration. Now, take note here. These are my reactants, and these are my products. Okay. Now, take a note, all right? Here's my mitochondria, but if you look closely and remember from the previous lessons, we're looking at the equation for photosynthesis only backwards. So if red is cell respiration, let's make blue photosynthesis. And if we put the equation for photosynthesis down, H2O plus CO2 yields glucose, hydrogen, oxygen, or glucose and oxygen. And this is done with chloroplast and sunlight energy. But if you take a look, we still have our reactants here and we have our products. But if you take note, the products of photosynthesis becomes the reactants for cell respiration. So plants have to have both mitochondria and chloroplast, because again, the chloroplast only makes that glucose molecule, all right? That's my little chloroplast here. Now, the products of cell respiration now become the reactants for photosynthesis. So we're starting to see this cycle. Go back to the questions that we might have here. So first things first, where does cell respiration occur? This is going to occur in the mitochondria. There's really two places. One is mitochondria. This is with oxygen. We'll talk more about this here in a later video. The second one is also in cytoplasm, okay? And this is without oxygen. So kind of just put a note in this for now. Who does cell respiration? Go ahead and highlight this. All living things. It's in your notes, but everything does some form of cellular respiration. If it's prokaryotes, they do their cell respiration within their cytoplasm. And for complex organisms like eukaryotes, well, they're going to use the mitochondria. All right, so let's take a look at her, okay? So what is needed? Well, first of all, so what is needed? Well, we need oxygen. This is to do aerobic processes. Remember, aero means oxygen. And you need the glucose. Again, we get this from photosynthesis, or if you're a heterotroph, eating. Now, lipids and proteins can be broken down to use as energy, but that's only when there is no carbohydrates available at the time, okay? Now, the products of photosynthesis, we take a look, is the big one is going to be carbon dioxide. It's going to be water, like we said, but also this right here. At the end of cellular respiration, we get that ATP energy, and that is the goal of cell respiration. It's to transfer the energy from that glucose into creating those ATP molecule. And the thing is with cell respiration, this is going to be energy release. Whereas with photosynthesis, it's going to be energy absorbed. All right. So where does this happen? Again, this happens in the mitochondria. Cytoplasm, if it's for organelle or for cells such as prokaryotes. Who does it? Again, all living organisms. So that is the end of our intro to cellular respiration. In our last video, we're going to talk about the two different types of cell respiration: aerobic, which is with oxygen, and anaerobic, that is without oxygen. Organisms do this. Okay,